Hi everyone, let's talk about what Sky Sports brought this week about Liverpool. Wow, a lot is happening, isn't it? There's already been plenty of discussion about our team, especially about Liverpool's best 11. And yes, unfortunately, there have been 4 consecutive defeats in the Premier League. But hold on, shortly after we had that strong victory in the Champions League would show that we are still very much alive.
Their best 11. It was a 4th defeat in a row. Joe's asked me, you've written this, haven't you? Crushing 4th defeat in a row. You want to get that in. It was probably closer than I think you remember it. No. But it was a 4th defeat in a row. And that, worth pointing out, that was followed by a very strong Champions League win midweek for Liverpool. But it did come after Arne Slot dropped Mo Salah for that match. And that is something that Jamie Carragher spoke about. And he said needed to happen after the United game. So here's what Carragher had to say. This was on Sunday evening.
What I would say with Mo Salah right now is I think we're at the stage where I don't think Mo Salah should be like a Virgil van Dijk where it's like first name on the team sheet. So Liverpool have got 2 away games, one in the Champions League in Frankfurt and then they go to Brentford. I don't think Mo Salah should start both of those games. He should always be starting at Anfield because Liverpool are going to be on top, be around the edge of the box and more often than not he scores in those situations today. But I do think with away games and helping your right full-back as well, I don't think Mo Salah should be starting every game right now, certainly away from home, with the form that he's in.
He should be an automatic starter or not. Then Sky asked Luz to put together Liverpool's best 11 right now, and you can already feel that there will be debate in every position: wingers, midfield, defense, goalkeeper. There is no discussion here. It is Alisson. Even with Maeda improving, Alisson remains the best in the world and the most valuable player for the team. When he does not play, you feel the absence of the saves that only he can make. It is truly impressive. Right back. Connor Bradley is the choice. Despite some doubts, he's a product of the academy and has a lot of quality, especially offensively. After Trent's departure, it's hard to find someone with his passing ability, but Bradley has dynamism and needs confidence to establish himself. Center backs. At the moment, we only have 2 consistent options, so it makes sense to keep Van Dijk and another partner who is fit. Ibrahim Ayakene is still young and can rotate, but overall, the central defense is solid. Left back. Andy Robertson continues to be a reference, but Kirk is being prepared to take on this role gradually. He has speed and dynamism, but is still getting used to playing alongside Van Dijk. It's that transition phase every team goes through when a young talent is introduced. Midfield. This is interesting. The choice is for a more rotational midfield, bringing players like Curtis Jones to provide energy, passing, and ball recovery. It's not just about form, it's about building the team Klopp wants for the future, balancing distribution and defense. In summary, Sky is showing that we are in a moment of transition, but still with great potential. The team is changing some pieces, preparing youngsters, adjusting positions, and dealing with important absences such as Trent and Salah being out of certain games. But do not be mistaken. Even with highs and lows, Liverpool is still competitive and has intelligent solutions.
And he was spot on, wasn't he? Because he then didn't start away at Frankfurt. Of course, Cara there was speaking before the Frankfurt game, and that has sprung up a lot of debate whether Mo Salah should be in Liverpool's strongest 11. So that is what we've tasked Loz with today, coming up with Liverpool's strongest 11. I think there's debate all over the pitch here, in the wings, in the midfield, at fullback. But let's start in goal, I think, Loz.
And this is to retain the titles. This is what you think this season, right?
Right, yeah.
Strongest 11.
I think this is a really great way to explore where Liverpool are at right now and what shape we're going for. But I think there is only one goalkeeper that at the moment I feel 100% trust in. I think Mohamed Ashwili is growing into the role, but Alisson Becker is the best goalkeeper in the world for me, and I think he's. If you guys disagree on him being the best, I can say he's in the top 3 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I think he's the most valuable to us, and he really adds a lot of value to the side. You see when he's not in the team, there are a few times I've got to admit over the last few weeks where I've looked at a goal going in, even the Bremer goal at Anfield. I thought to myself, he's already going down. Whereas Alisson's big, he keeps his shoulders nice and broad, and I'm not in any position to criticise a goalkeeper, but. At the same time, I think Alisson would have made a few of these saves. Team
you did.
against Frankfurt.
This was sent through by Loz before the Frankfurt game. So you went for Conor Bradley in the right back role over Jeremy Frimpong.
Yes.
Who's the new summer arrival? Why is that?
I'm going to put him out there, so it's not necessarily a flat back 4.
Okay.
Is what I'll say. Conor Bradley is. Obviously an academy product for Liverpool. We need to keep academy products in the team, and I think he needs a little bit of faith right now. There are a few question marks around him at the moment because Frimpong has come in, but I think he also adds a lot up front. I like his dynamism. He's obviously a great asset on the international stage. I think he's one of those guys that I think is growing into his role. He's been through so much over the last few years, not only personally but also on the field as well. And I think if we back him in this time, he'll be one of our stars in the future.
Let's bring the ass in here, because watching Liverpool this season, and it's worth pointing out as well, they're still very much in the title race. I think a lot's made when a couple of losses happen. But do you feel, looking at Liverpool, 4, correct, that the Trent miss is a big miss now that you're watching Liverpool without Trent?
Of course, I think that's the easiest question in the world, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
I seen a graphic on social media this week. Depicting Trent and Robertson last season and what percentile they lie in when it comes to build-up. I think it was Trent 95th percentile, Robertson 94th. Whether it was Frimpong and Kerkez or Bradley and Kerkez, one of the two, they were like 42nd and 43rd. So when you're talking about how you're playing out from the back, Trent almost felt like a cheat code at times because of he has a limitless bag when it comes to passing. He has almost every single pass in the book. Anyone in that regard after Trent would have been a downgrade in terms of just passing the ball. And I think at the moment it is proving to be kind of a transition, looking for the next guy. Conor Bradley has qualities, no doubt about it. I think he showed at times the last few seasons when Trent was injured or when Trent was unavailable, he is a good player. But to ask him to replicate what Trent's been able to do over the last season, I totally agree, that is a massive ask.
It's more of a noticeable when you take someone out of the team, like actually the hole that they leave. But I mean,
he's a world-class player.
You're pushing him further and further up.
I'm pushing him further and further down.
He's competing with Salah, not Frimpong.
Yeah, well, you see where the logic goes in a minute once we kind of get the rest of the team up there. Shall I go centre-backs next?
I think so.
Let's do it.
Right, so at the moment there's only 2 guys that are really fit consistently for Liverpool, and I think it would be unfair or strange right now to put Leone in one of those 2 positions, right?
Well, he's got an ACL injury as well, so he can't be in the strongest 11.
But he was, exactly. But it's a little bit hard. But he was very strong. You
did know that, right?
Yeah, I did know that. I watched that. But he is a very strong centre back.
Sorry, you've absolutely done it.
Yeah, he is a great centre back though, and I feel really bad for him. Obviously, arriving at the club and you want to put your stamp on the game.
Yeah, it's tough.
And he was off in like the 60th minute, I think, against Southampton. Yeah. It was really unfortunate for him. He's a young guy. And then I think those 2 are the only option we have right now. However, I think during games you could rotate Ibrahim Konate out and essentially play kind of closer to a back 3 with someone like Joe Gomez. But I think then it's only logical to put Kerkez on that side. I don't really think there needs to be a discussion at the moment about centre-backs, even though I know that in my mind, I think Ibrahim Konate is already off.
I think the left-back slot, we saw against Frankfurt, the quality that Andy Robertson still has, the pass for Katike, I think his relationship with Van Dijk as well, I certainly think Van Dijk looks better with Robertson outside him. I'm not sure that partnership is totally formed with Kerkez yet. What have you made of Kerkez's start? Yes, I mean,
poor, to be honest with you. I think Kerkez was really good at Bournemouth last season. I thought it was a move when it happened that seemed like a no-brainer. He seems like the next step from Robertson in terms of even the way he played last season. But I found it really interesting to see how they've deployed him. At Bournemouth, he was maybe the most attacking left back in the league. He was aggressive, bombing down the line, entering the box so many times. Yeah. At least in the first few weeks, I think it maybe has changed a little bit more recently against United, for example. But I was seeing Kerkez in a 3 in build-up. Like he's almost making inverting runs, and I'm thinking, was this the way that Kerkez was best utilized at Bournemouth? I was expecting him to be a high-flying wing back here. I would actually probably argue at the moment, Laws, that maybe Robertson is the better fit at this current time for Liverpool. And I even look sometimes when I'm watching Liverpool, it feels like they don't really trust him all that much when they have the ball. I saw numerous times he's making runs, Gakpo wide open to pass them. He didn't pass them one single time. I'm even looking at Van Dijk. It almost feels like he's looking at Kerkez sometimes and then completely going the other way. So I think at the moment there might be a disconnect between.
Honestly,
117 minutes, Robertson, this season.
It's interesting as well. One of only 5 Liverpool players have started every Premier League game, Kerkez. When you think that there is, good competition competition in Robertson, who's been at Liverpool for years. It's interesting that Robertson hasn't started a Premier League game yet.
Well, it's like I'm saying, I think there's this halfway house that Liverpool are in at the moment, and I think they want to bed Kerkez in. I think they know that they need that pace and that dynamism that he brings going forward.
Yeah.
But at the same time, people are saying to me, do you think Van Dijk trusts Kerkez? I don't think Van Dijk trusts anyone in football that's left or right of him. I basically think that you have to be strong enough to play alongside Van Dijk and take whatever it is that he tells you and take the instruction. And I think Kerkez is still learning to play in that kind of next to Van Dijk role. And you can kind of see it sometimes. I think that's fair enough. He's a young guy and he's transitioning to the team. But for me, the reason I play him is the same reason I play him. Bed them in, get them minutes, get them used to the system they're going to have to play. That's what makes logical sense to me.
Okay. Should we do midfielders? Because the shape is quite interesting so far. With
So midfield two, I'm going to put them both down.
Yeah, I think you should.
Okay.
Because it's going to be apparent very quickly that there's no Gravenberch.
I put these two names in there before the Champions League game.
Yeah, he did, to be fair.
And then they started that. And I had a lot of discussions with other Liverpool fans when I was putting this list together, just to kind of sense check it. The reason I play these two is mainly because I think Liverpool are going to go into a more rotational midfield where we do kind of bring these guys up alongside these two midfielders. Yeah. And you saw the effect that they had, obviously against Frankfurt, so it's a slightly different level defensively. But you saw how dominant they were in passing, how well they could distribute the ball. And I think that's where Liverpool struggle a little bit. Gravenberch is a fantastic carrier of the ball, but he's not got a fantastic passing range. And that's not a criticism of him. It's just more, they're different profiles. And Curtis Jones and Szoboszlai bring energy, passing, and both of them are amazing at winning the ball back.
But the flip side to that is you look at how well Liverpool performed last season, that three, Szoboszlai, McAllister, Gravenberch. It's a tried and tested formula, that, because it won you the league. So with that said, I'm just intrigued to know why you're not picking either of those players. Is that based on form you're doing this on?
No, it's not necessarily form. It's where I think, again, where I am kind of anticipating I would want the team to go, and where I think the team is probably headed anyway. I'm not saying this is a 3-5-2, but I think if you look at the shape, especially against Frankfurt in the Champions League, you could see that Liverpool, when one player progressed, were rotating back around to have more like a kind of a three at the back. And the heat maps won't show that, because it wasn't necessarily that Andy Robertson or Conor Bradley or Frimpong, when he was on early on, got those touches, but they were covering that space. And then as soon as Liverpool get the ball, they're downfield and the shape changes again. And
I think, but was that helped by the fact you could have Robertson was playing left back, so when he tucked in to create that back three against Frankfurt, it felt more natural maybe than Kerkez playing as a member of the centre backs.
Right, but don't get it mixed that just because Kerkez is good at going forward, therefore he's not good one-on-one, or that he's not able to tuck back in. One thing that Arne Slot flagged in his press conference before the Brentford game, that not only is he exceptional going forward and we haven't really used him, he literally said Gakpo just hasn't made those passes and I want him to make more of those passes.
Go on, sorry.
But I also think he then highlighted some of he's great one-on-one, he's really good at recovering and winning the ball back, and that's partly why, these Liverpool players, but let's talk about another guy that we know Liverpool wanted and was really close to a transfer, Mark Gahey. Yeah. He's really good in one-on-ones and he's really good at recovering. He's not necessarily good at being your traditional centre-back. He's actually got pretty poor aerial duels compared to the two guys that we have here. So it's very clear that we want to shift that back line style, or kind of at least idea, and Kerkez, I think, can be part of that.
Let's get Lias's thoughts on the midfield too so far.
You look negative.
Curtis Jones.
It's not negative at all, honestly. In fact, I'm loving this, right? I think Curtis Jones is a really good player, and at the moment, he would probably start for me at Liverpool. I think when he's come on, he's looked a step above McAllister at the moment. He's busy. He's quite neat on the ball as well too. I just think Gravenberch has to play. Again, we go back to build-up, and I think that the fullbacks are a massive issue in that regard. But I think Gravenberch almost seems like the one solution that Arne Slot has at the moment.
Who do you take out for Gravenberch?
I don't know, but for me, he has to play. Like, in my opinion, he has to be there. Szoboszlai would be there as well too because of the legs that he provides. You need someone like that in there. But I think Gravenberch has to be in this team, man.
Szoboszlai is also one of the few players this season who looks confident in every game. Yeah. Even when we were losing, you could still see that he knows what his role is. He's really clear about it, and he's supplying for the whole 90 minutes. There's not one moment where I know Szoboszlai has a slightly kind of arrogant swagger to him, which can sometimes put some people's noses out of joint. But for the whole match, I'm seeing him at least apply himself on the field at Anfield.
Yeah, and he's going to be very versatile
and when you have a team as well too whose press is as disjointed as Liverpool's is, you need guys who can cover, who can plug the holes. That's Szoboszlai, man. You need the industry in midfield there. But I think for me personally, Gravenberch would start somehow. It's tough because you have so many great names. Jones, how do you leave him out? But Gravenberch is in my team for sure.
Okay.
Next up, I think it's got to be Florian for me. Mainly because, well, we spent a lot of money on him, Joe. I don't know if you noticed.
I've heard.
Yeah.
I've heard the rumour.
But also, he is obviously one of the fantastic players that we can field. And I think in a starting 11, and that's what you guys asked for, he starts for me.
That was his best performance midweek in Liverpool shirt, wasn't it?
It really
far
was,
against Frankfurt. But he was playing more kind of on the right. Wasn't he at times? He was playing everywhere, but
like
it was
like
almost
half spaces,
out of possession.
like
he
that
was
half
certainly on the
space
right.
area. Yeah, you're right. And I think he was given the license to roam, but it was generally that he would pick the ball up most here and he was most effective there, right? So I don't think you're wrong about that. But I think that's why I like deploying Florian Wirtz. I think the opposition can't prepare for, will he be in the left half space? Will he be in the right half space? And he can pop up in either of those spaces. Not only that, but he can kind of play through the middle as a traditional 10 if we want him to. And if then, this is a key thing that we need to call out as we get closer to the up front, we're going to deploy multiple units. So there are a bunch of magnets here that I've not put up here.
Yeah.
But you could see, even against Frankfurt midweek, when Salah came on, he wasn't playing as a winger. He was playing as one of the two, in inverted commas, strikers. And it's really important to not only be able to change your legs, but to bring on a completely different proposition to what we had before.
Let's bring the ass in here. Let's talk about Wirtz. Obviously, you watch a lot of European football as well. Unbelievable season last season. 22 goals and assists, I think, in the league alone. I mean, it's such an exciting prospect. Yeah. It's been a slow start to his Liverpool league career. It did look good midweek, I agree. Are we starting to see signs of him now? And would you be starting him in the strongest Liverpool 11
I actually think the last
now?
few weeks Wirtz has improved, to be honest with you. I think we're so obsessed, and granted, I get it. There's been a lot of big money signings that came before him that we were very, very strict on, especially when it came to numbers. But I think at times too, like we get too like he had an assist for Szoboszlai. It's the most nonsense assist. Does that all of a sudden now mean that Wirtz is finding his creative tool? No, I actually think the last few games he has started to grow a little bit more. Of course, there's high expectations. We need to see it more regularly. They spent a lot of money on him, but yeah, I think Wirtz has to be in this team, and I think also when you look at where Liverpool are trying to build. I see right now he's playing in a role, in a zone of the pitch where a certain former Premier League Player of the Year tends to play in. Who is the future of Liverpool? Who are you looking to build the squad around? I think it's Wirtz at the moment. So yeah, I would be looking to get in my
let's touch on that now because not to be spoiling it, but there is no Mo Salah in that position, is there?
You have spoiled that.
I know.
Well done. There is no Mo Salah up there.
No Salah.
No Salah.
Nice.
So with that, I think we might as well just put the other three up and then discuss that,
yeah,
right?
we'll talk for it.
So I've got Gakpo there, and then I've kind of got a top two. I might put Ekitike there.
So you're planning to say Ekitike. So let's. I think we've got to discuss Salah first for not being in it, because obviously Liverpool legend. You know, we can speak for hours about how amazing he's been. Interesting that Jamie Carragher comments. Interesting that the team did change midweek. So just as a Liverpool fan, why no Mo Salah for you?
I mean, anyone who is unlucky enough to watch my stuff on YouTube will know that I've kind of been talking about transitioning away from Mo Salah for a little while. Not because we as Liverpool fans think he's bad or I think he's bad. More because when we look at the signings, we see the writing on the wall in terms of where the team are looking to go. And Salah doesn't necessarily fit into any of those positions wholesale in the way that you could say some of these guys do.
Yeah.
We can get a bit lost in shape. I personally would name this as more like a 4-4-2 out of possession, and then in possession it's more like a 3-5-2, and then even then you've got your two overlapping wingers. But again, that takes away a lot of the width that Mo Salah has. We were talking about this before the show, where it's like, you know, if you play Frimpong, it almost looks as if Frimpong and Salah are getting under each other's feet. Yeah. And Bradley is much more complementary to Salah because he's been used to playing with him. But that's part of what's taken away from Salah's form. Is Salah's basically been playing in a bit of a halfway house position for Liverpool, where he's not quite wide, he's not quite inside. He's trying to complement Ekitike, Wirtz, or Isak or whoever, and he had much more solid passes last year. Nunez would be inside of him. Luis Diaz would be inside of him.
Let's call it what it is. Last season, Liverpool were built around Mo Salah.
Correct.
He had no defensive responsibility. He stayed as high and close to goal as he wanted to. Everything was built for him to get his production, which he did fantastically. But I think the issue is, now that the season has started, there's been a lot of factors as well too, but the numbers have dried up. And now, I don't think you can afford to have somebody that, first of all, offers you nothing defensively, is getting older as well too. The team isn't looking to build around Salah for the next few years.
So you wouldn't start him?
At the moment, I agree with Jimmy Carragher. I wouldn't. I think right now...
Say Lawrence McKenna.
Lawrence as well too, you know. Jimmy Carragher's got a nicer ring, you know. But at the moment, I think look. That isn't to say that Salah can't change his form throughout the season. I'm not going to be the one to say Mo Salah is done. He's the greatest 10-season wonder we've ever seen in the Premier League. But at the moment, Liverpool need to win games. It almost feels do or die every single time they play now. For me, this is close to what I would go for. I would have gone for Frimpong here if you're going to play Wirtz on the right. Fine. I think that natural width Frimpong is more maybe a natural fit. But if it's looking like a 3, I'd probably go Robertson as well too.
So can I just call out, the reason I didn't go Frimpong there is I think Liverpool were expecting one more centre-back, like I've already flagged. I think Conor Bradley slightly more defensively minded, and I think while we don't have that extra centre-back, I'd put Bradley in there. And then I think Florian Wirtz will float. And this, I've got a whole stack of people here. You know, Ryan Gravenberch, Mo Salah, Alexis McAllister hasn't even been mentioned here. Andy Robertson, like we already said, and then Joe Gomez. I think there are a number of people who can rotate into this team, change some of the things that are offered to Liverpool, and suddenly the opposition are completely facing a different shape, different ideas, different passing lanes.
I think we should touch on Isak as well, because he's a big talking point at the start of the season. From his most expensive player. He's obviously had injury problems. He's not really had a pre-season. What have you made of him versus Ekitike, Lias? Because I think Ekitike so far this campaign has probably been Liverpool's standout player alongside Szoboszlai.
I completely agree. Look, let's call it what it is with Isak. At the moment, he's playing because they spent a lot of money on him and they're looking to get him fit. That's the reality, because outside of that, there's not a single reason you guys can name me that I'll believe for why he started over Ekitike at the weekend. And the minute that he actually came out against United is the first time I actually felt, they might actually get back in this game. Ekitike has shocked me so much. Not in terms of I didn't know he was a great player, but just the way he's come into this Liverpool team with all these big names.
Liverpool continues to be strongly linked with the signing of Crystal Palace defender Mark Guéhi. The 25-year-old, currently part of the England national team, came very close to joining the Reds during the last summer transfer window, but the deal did not materialize. Now, the expectation is that the club may try again to bring Guéhi in January. According to former Premier League scout Mick Brown, Liverpool will be even more determined to complete the deal in the coming weeks. The club faces an urgent need for defensive reinforcements, and Guéhi emerges as an ideal option to strengthen the backline. Brown told Football Insider that, even though the transfer is not a certainty, he believes Liverpool will try to move forward with signing him in January. Brown added that Guéhi is by far the best option available at the moment and could be secured for around £35 million or less, which is a real bargain considering his quality. He also emphasized that, given Liverpool's recent defensive difficulties, the board should be motivated to conclude the deal as quickly as possible. Mark Guéhi is considered one of the best defenders in the Premier League right now and could be a strategic reinforcement for Liverpool. In recent matches, the team has shown defensive vulnerabilities, and the arrival of a solid and reliable defender like Guéhi could significantly improve stability at the back, something essential if the team wants to compete for major titles. Meanwhile, other top clubs such as Bayern Munich and Real Madrid have also been linked with the player, showing that he has the qualities to play for the best teams in the world. His versatility and defensive ability make him a valuable asset for any team that secures him. Furthermore, Liverpool faces the prospect of losing Ibrahima Konate on a free transfer at the end of the season. This makes signing Guéhi even more urgent, as he could act as a direct replacement for the French player, ensuring continuity and stability in defense. During the summer transfer window, Liverpool attempted to convince the defender to join the club, and the question now is whether they can persuade him in January. Another point to consider is Crystal Palace, who will need to negotiate with Liverpool to facilitate the transfer. The Eagles will be under greater pressure this time, as they do not want to risk losing a player of Guéhi's quality without compensation, especially on a free transfer next summer. This could give Liverpool a more favorable position to complete the deal in the coming weeks. In summary, all signs indicate that Liverpool is determined to strengthen its defense and sees Mark Guéhi as the ideal addition. It remains to be seen how the negotiations unfold, which could be decisive for the club's plans in the coming months and for the team's defensive future. Thank you very much for watching until now. See you next time.